Sales. Sales is not a dirty word. There is a sales process, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you have a direct person-to-person sales floor worker or an external salesperson. Like, everybody is in the business of selling a product or a service. Those are important skills to have. And in addition, working in sales is a growing, booming field and discipline. And a lot of veterans and a lot of military family members not only find that they're great career opportunities in the world of sales, but also that they're well suited for sales positions. Very, very well suited for sales positions. A lot of the skills that we have as military members and former military members, the tenacity, the ability to work without direct supervision, the integrity, and so on, really translates well to sales. And there's a guy that we know that founded an organization that is free to the veteran, that helps veterans learn those important skills, how to not just get a gig in sales, but how to be well-versed in the language of sales, to get the skill set needed to be successful in sales, to make a lot of money so you can support your family, have the freedom to support them, have the freedom to hang out with them, all that stuff that being successful in sales yields. But we're going to talk more about that here in a little bit. We're going to talk about this organization that provides not only sales training free to the veteran, this comprehensive program, but also helps with job placement. Talk about a great opportunity for our transitioning vets. We're going to talk about all that right after this. You're darn right. Your success is our primary mission. My name is Adam Bratz. I'm here broadcasting to you from the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce. This is our weekly office hours. Join us every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. right here. Same time, same place, same channel, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, you name it. If you have any questions, I should throw out there. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you want to talk about the Brewers prospects for this upcoming baseball season, we can talk about that too. Whatever, you just throw it out there, and we're here to have an extemporaneous conversation with all of you. Be sure to follow the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce across all platforms. We wear a little bit of a different hat on different platforms. Facebook, maybe a top hat. LinkedIn, maybe a bowler cap. YouTube, maybe a beret. I don't know, but we wear a different hat, bring a little bit of a different value to each of you on these different platforms. So make sure to follow along. But now, without further ado, happy to introduce to the stream our good friend Raleigh Wilkins, the founder and CEO of Sales Platoon. Raleigh, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Yeah, so Sales Platoon, did I get the gist of it correct here in the introduction? This is a free training program for veterans that gives them the skills they need and also helps them with job placement. Can you just give me more of a rundown of Sales Platoon here?
Yeah, great. I appreciate the time and the ability to meet with your guys. And so Sales Platoon essentially is a transformational program. As we make our transition off active duty, we often think of it as the next step in the evolution. And, yet we don't always think about the transformation that's necessary in order to go back into the civilian world. Every one of us as service members, whether we joined the Air Force, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, it didn't matter. We went through a transformational experience when we joined the service.
Right.
And yet when we come off active duty, there's a lot of programs available for transition, but only a small minority of the 280,000 people a year that come off active duty even go through a transition program. They go through, most of them, a 2-day TAP class where they do a transition. Essentially, do you want to be an entrepreneur, a student, or a worker? What'd you do in the military? We'll match you up and you're out. And for me, when I came off active duty, there was no TAP program. There was no transition. It was one day you're in uniform and you're performing, and the next day you're out of uniform and you're on the street. And it is a shocking revelation when you rejoin the civilian world to realize the world has moved on. Technology, morals, mores, customs, courtesies, traditions that I lived by for the last 4, 8, 12, 20, or 30 years do not exist in this new country that I'm a part of. And so there needs to be a transformation, sales aside, for our active duty coming off active duty in order to learn how to reassimilate in society.
Well,
And
now that's,
you know,
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. It sounded like you had a comment there, so I think it's better
Yeah,
to have a discussion around this than just a pitch on what we do. You know?
Yeah, that's super interesting. So I like the use of the word transformation versus transition, because it absolutely is a transformation when you join the service. But everybody talks about transition on the way out, but it really is a transformation. You're not just reintegrating, you're reprogramming. So why? Clearly, you saw that there was a need in that reintegration, in that transition, in that there was a need for transformation. Why sales? Why did you launch Sales Platoon? Obviously, you saw a need, but why was sales your particular avenue of expertise to get people to achieve in that transformation?
Yeah, well, I think, necessity is the mother of invention. And, I came off active duty into a world that did not know what to do with me. I did not have directly translatable skills from my time in the Marine Corps. I had, however, started selling vacuums door to door while I was on active duty, Kirby vacuums.
Oh, how about that? Okay.
So shout out to all my Kirby brothers and sisters out there who knocked on the doors back in the 1990s. It is hardcore selling at its best. And I knew 1000% that when I came off active duty, I had no desire to sell vacuums. So, that was my framework for sales. So my goal at the time was to find an avenue to earn money so that I could go back to school, use my GI Bill. The eventual goal was to be a maritime lawyer. I saw that as a very noble profession, right? Law of the seas was going to be, Raleigh Wilkins Esquire. And as I started to look for roles, I fumbled my way into personal training roles, into, all kinds of different things. Eventually landed as an executive assistant to the SVP of operations for a company called Phillips. And the guy's name was Roger DeFato. He took a young Marine in, put him into a role that generally was a pinnacle role for an administrative person in their career. But what it did was gave me a frontline seat into how businesses operate. Things that no 28-year-old should be looking and hearing, in generally speaking, hearing these conversations of these learned women and men who are the, COOs and COOs and SVPs. It's like, my world, I didn't know anything about that. And I found out I had a mind for business. Big piece of that was around, I didn't know I had it. And then the other one was that I found out that in the civilian world, it's very similar to the military world, and that you really bucket in one of three roles. In the military, I think we can agree that you're either in combat arms, you're supporting combat arms, or you're in some type of admin, logistics, IT support background, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And in the civilian world, you're also in only one of three roles. You're either producing revenue for a company, which is the most important role in an organization. It is the only reason companies exist.
Right.
You are helping another company produce revenue for their company, or you're in some type of support, admin, leadership role. And the challenge is only 25% of our MOSs even translate directly into the civilian workforce. And those that do, the people that make the transition find themselves trying to navigate the streets of Paris or the map of Chicago. And so one of the greatest lies perpetuated in the transition of our military leaders out of the military community is that they are leaders. And that's going to shock some people when I say that. And probably
if you're the first person I've ever heard say that.
They don't
expand on that.
Yeah. So if I and what I'll do, if I talk to a lieutenant colonel in the Army and say he's a logistics, that was his MOS.
Right.
And I said, would you take a VP of operations at Amazon and put him in charge of 1st Marine Expeditionary Forces warfighting capabilities and operations for logistical planning?
Probably not.
Resounding no. Right? Well, why not? Well, they don't understand warfighting. They don't understand rank structure, hierarchy, customs, the UCMJ, Article 86 and 92. They've never heard. They don't. And I said, yeah. So why do you think you can go there and lead their team?
Right.
You
Right.
don't.
They may have the inherent characteristics that would make them good to lead, but they don't have any of the institutional knowledge.
Yeah, it's like I'm a really good if I'm really good high school senior at chemistry, and you move me to Prague, I'm going to fail
Mm.
because I might know the subject matter and I might have some experience with the subject matter expertise, but I don't know how to translate that into a classroom experience in a language I don't speak. And they don't speak military. And imagine the chaos
Yeah.
if you're the commander of anything, even a sergeant. Like, I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and it's like, imagine my platoon doesn't have to wear uniform, can decide not to come in, call out sick. There's no Article 86. They can be where they want whenever they want. They can lie about being sick. They can fake sick. There's no such thing as unauthorized absence, AWOL, or disrespect to a senior NCO.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you run a command in that kind of capability where a PFC can just say, you know what, I don't want to. My goldfish is sick. I'm not coming in today. Could you still run your battalion, your company, your organization? So it's not that it doesn't translate. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge believer in the things we learn. The reason 5 years post-service, I found myself as a senior director of sales leading a team of PhD scientists selling synthetic DNA in Latin America was not because I read How to Win Friends and Influence People. It was because of the things that I learned in NCO school and corporal's course and sergeant's course and the lessons that I learned the hard way in the Marine Corps. That's what allowed me to leapfrog my peers. But make no mistake about it, when I went into first Civ Div, I knew nothing. I knew less than nothing because I knew that I knew nothing. And I believed the lie that these people were just going to hire me and pay me $100,000 a year because I had, I twice meritorious promoted, come up runner-up to Marine of the Year, tried out for the recon end, gotten selected for MESEP program because of all these military accomplishments, medals, whatever. I thought they're just going to see that and go, of course, this guy's a leader. He's driven. You know what they thought? This guy's got PTSD and he's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There are so many stereotypes and preconceived notions about us when we integrate. And a lot of civilians are shocked to hear that there is prejudice against veterans in the civilian workplace because there's tons of magnetic ribbons. Of course, we support our veterans. And, we say that we support our veterans and military families, but in the back of their head, they have those stereotypes and thoughts about us. And really, in many ways, there's an uphill battle. That's super interesting. So you ended up developing this mind for business and saw that maybe that there were some strengths that the veteran and military family community had in the world of sales. And so what got you to the point where you're like, I'm launching a business. I'm going to do this business to help vets.
Well, so getting from there to there is a long journey and a lot longer than we have time for today. But let's say that
you can give us the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, the Cliff Notes version is about a year into that role, I realized that the rock stars of the civilian world are salespeople. Corporate sales has as little to do with being a vacuum salesman as being a vacuum salesman does with sending and selling listings on NASDAQ. So I didn't understand the difference. And I started to understand that corporate sellers are a lot more like consultants. And the difference between a consultant and a salesperson is that nobody likes consultants in the business world. And the reason is consultants show up and say, this is broken, that'll cost you $250,000. A salesperson shows up and says, hey, I did all the research. You don't owe me any money for everything I figured out. By the way, I can fix this for you.
Right.
And they fix it. And the product or service that your company represents is going to help a company earn more money, be more efficient, or somehow contribute to the top line sales or bottom line revenue. So sales people are the infantry. They are the special ops of the civilian world. And it is the most highly paid position in the world. I don't care what you do. The top selling rep in a company will outperform what the CEO makes in some companies. You come off active duty and get into an AE role, you're going to make a minimum of 60, 80,000 your first year. Year two, you should be in the low six figures if you're worth your salt. You can make, we have account executives come to our show, which is right after this one actually. They make on average after they're out for 3 to 5 years, $150,000 to $200,000 a year. That's more than most VPs make at companies. But it's driven by those same traits that we learned in the military: determination, drive, discipline, following a process, understanding how to work with people. I mean, military, I'll go back to the positives. We work on diverse groups. Diversity and inclusion is not new to the military. We've been doing that since long before it was a buzzword. Right. We know how to work on teams where we have to get people to do things where they can't quit and you can't get fired. That's a tough group to lead. And so when you have that, you get really successful. So I said, you know what, I want it. So I finished my degree, or I was in my marketing degree. I decided I wanted to go into sales. So I took a job making half the base salary because I figured that, in sales, they told me I could go from making 60K, I'd make 30K a year. This is back in 2003, 2004. Right. But that I can make up to $100,000 a year. So I thought, I'll trade on that. I believe in me. I'm a veteran. I'll bet on myself. I know. And so I did that, and it was a terrible decision. I was the worst sales rep that there was.
Oh no!
I was like number 485 out of 500. I was ready to quit, and I went home. My roommate said, "Dude, you got to pay rent." So, and he said, "Plus, I thought you were a Marine. Marines don't quit." And I'm like, "Oh man, I just pulled Chesty Puller into this. We got to have a whole." So I realized that, I'd been afraid to look in the accountability mirror to realize that although I was doing what everyone around me was doing, what everybody around me was doing was not working. And then there has to be people who are successful, because in our company, there is a top 10 list. So I contacted every single one of them and found out what they were doing that I wasn't doing it, and realized that there was a process and a discipline behind selling that if I applied it, I might be successful. I started doing it. And the first time I went from a cold lead to converting a prospect and then selling a deal that they didn't know I was coming, where the company actually did better for me having been there, but before we met, I knew I'd never go hungry again. And I truly loved that organization. And I went in the next year from being number 485 out of 500 reps to the top 5.
There you go.
From making $40,000 a year to making $150,000 a year. And I got promoted into sales management, where I failed again. And then I figured that out. And then I became a director and a senior director and a vice president, a senior vice president. I worked my way up the corporate ladder from startups to NASDAQ. And during that time, I got the opportunity to train hundreds of reps and managers. And during that time, I started to realize there was a process for onboarding them. But the hardest part was finding raw talent. And the raw talent that's been proven, that has the crucible, that has a determination, drive, resiliency, and a certain type of mosaic intelligence, which is found in our U.S. Armed Services, especially in our combat-oriented people. Because you think about it, you give the average civilian, a task, hey, guard a 500-yard perimeter and begin. They don't even know where to start. You do that to a Marine Corps Staff Sergeant. You tell them, by the way, all we have is 2 rolls of baling wire, 3 M16s, a rifle, and the 6-pack of beer. And they're like, great, we got 3 extra beers and an extra round. We can go and,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And that's what you have to then figure it out mentality, adapt, improvise, and overcome is what makes sales reps great. But they don't know that sales exists. And the people that want to hire salespeople wouldn't in a million years think about hiring military. Because even if you hire them, they don't know anything about the business world. I mean, yesterday they're turning wrenches. Today they're supposed to be using like Microsoft Office and HubSpot and Salesforce.com. Like, really?
Right. Well, and that brings me to my next question. Before I dive into that, I just want to make an announcement. This is Raleigh Wilkins. He is the founder and CEO of Sales Platoon. That's who we're chatting with right now. If you have questions, comments, anything that you want to throw in there, I don't see anything in there right now, but sometimes StreamYard can be a little weird. If you have comments, please throw them in your respective feed, and I will definitely make sure to field them. If you have questions for Raleigh, I'll make sure to pass them along. So please don't be bashful. We're here to support you. So Raleigh, what would you say to the veteran who is obviously, everybody leaving the military is leaving a stable environment? You have a paycheck you can set your watch to. You have raises you can set your watch to, pretty much. Promotions almost, if you keep your nose clean and you study for your promotion tests, that is all reliable and it feels stable. What would you say to a veteran that is hesitant to leave that salaried stability and go to a position that is performance-based, that is commission-based? That can be frightening for people that are coming from a situation such as that.
Yeah, I'd say stay in the military or get a GS job, because that's the only certainty you're going to have when you leave active duty. Forget about sales for a minute. There is no stability in the civilian world. You can be fired at any time for any reason in any way. And I tell you that your credits do not transfer, meaning rank and all the rest. It doesn't matter. I talk to lieutenant colonels who are BDRs at companies, and I talk to private first classes who are now CEOs. It doesn't translate directly. There is no certainty. The only certainty you're ever going to have when you leave active duty is if you can produce revenue for a company, you will never go hungry. Now, here's some myths and misconceptions about sales roles.
Sure.
I'm not talking about going, and I have no disrespect for B2C sellers. I support them. I have companies that we support for that. You sell solar, you sell roofing, in-home, Kirby vacuums, God love you. That is sales, and that's hardcore. So you make a ton of money doing that. I also am not here to talk about Northwestern Mutual and life insurance and selling all that. That's two totally different things. Myth and misconception is that there's no base salary in sales. That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
The average base seller for a BDR, SDR, which essentially is a person who is coming out and they're learning to set appointments and working at technology companies, they're going to make around 40 to 50K in base salary, sometimes up to $70,000 in base salary. That's your entitlement. You get paid that to do the work of the job. But on top of that, you get paid a commission. And commission is performance-based outcome. If you're a dollars for hours person, if you're coming out and you're a supply person and you want to go work at Amazon, great. They hire veterans, hire a lot of veterans. You're going to go stock shelves, you're going to go punch a clock, and you're going to make money based upon the number of hours that you trade for work. Sales, you put in, it's just like working out in the gym. You put in a tremendous amount of effort up front. And a lot of the times it doesn't seem like there's a lot of result. But what happens when you work out consistently over 6 months, 9 months, and a year? The proof is in the results. And those results, if you execute on them, you will be successful. But here's the caveat. Most companies don't know how to train new salespeople.
Right.
And the reason, I'm not talking about military, they just don't know how to do it. And that's because I didn't know how to. Because you think about what they go out and find recent college grads, they put them into the grinder, all right? Somewhere around, whatever a high percentage of college graduates go into selling roles. After 2 years, only 10% remain.
Oh, wow.
Hell Week.
That's a staggering statistic.
Hell Week Buds has better statistics than that. Recon Index has better statistics than that.
Right.
Why is that? Because they don't know what they're doing. And it's accountability without training is a form of professional abuse. And
wait, hold on. Say that sentence one more time.
Accountability without training is a form of professional abuse.
Oh, frame that. Put it on a poster. I love that.
Yeah.
That's the quote of the day.
Yeah, thanks. But they bring in, our veterans, and it doesn't matter. Veterans, college hires, student athletes, doesn't matter. They bring them in and they throw them to the wolves. They figure it out. Well, that's great. Some will. Very expensive to learn that way. The average sales rep carries a quota of $50,000 a month in a software as a service environment. So when you have somebody not in that seat, somebody that's very junior in your company has the ability to impact your top line sales by $600,000 a year. Every month that position remains unfilled or they are learning cost your company money. That's not true if you hire a cook or a waiter or a coder or a doctor, right? It's algorithm. Sales, that's true. So the reason that I created Sales Platoon, I started a consulting firm 3 years ago, which was around solving these kind of bigger problems, right? But what I realized is they would come to me and they'd say, hey, Raleigh, we like what you're putting together. We don't have the ability to execute on this. We're too small, or we just don't know how to meet. Even if we had veterans that came through, they have unique needs that are different than, because again, they're coming out of rank structure. What does civilian rank structure look like? How do I engage with the CEO? How do I write a professional email? What are the different technologies I'm going to use? What are the norms, mores, social customs? How do I pick up the mantle of self-worth that I've voluntarily set aside for the last 4, 8, 12, 20, or 30 years as I learn mission, team, then self? How do I right size that in the civilian world where I have to be able to visualize before I ever pick up a phone? And so it takes one to know one. This is my experience. I spent 20 years slugging it out, figuring out not only how to sell, how to teach people to sell, how to teach people to teach people to sell, and then how to go out and find our U.S. military that could be potential good fits. I only accept 1 out of 8 candidates into our cohort. Of those that come through it, we still burn through 25%. That even with all my background, I was wrong. I was like, you know what? I thought they'd be good. And either way, they go to the company. They've already been pre-trained. They know how to use LinkedIn. They know how to use Sales Navigator. They know how to use CRM. They know how to use Salesforce.com, HubSpot. They know how to use modern artificial intelligence tools. They're well-versed. They've been translated. And they're in a crucible, a full-time program. This isn't like, hey, dial in and watch some videos. Go watch Cardone spout off about 10xing your life and not telling you how to do it. Or George Belford, who's a felon, who's trying to teach you how to sell. You want to go listen to that? Good. That is not what we're teaching. I'm saying this is 20 years of experience boiled down into 12 weeks. where I get these, all I say to companies when I call them, I say, hey, do you have open sales headcount on your team? Yes, we do. Great. I'm sorry to hear that. Why is that? Because I know how much it costs you. I'm curious, you ever thought about using U.S. military to fill your open positions? No, never thought about that. Hey, you're not alone. Most people I thought of haven't either. But if I had a team full of highly trained Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, and U.S. Marine Force Recon who had just left active duty, who spent the last 90 days, instead of learning how to do war fighting, learning how to sell in a full-time program, working 5 days a week, how long until they kick the tail off of your current Susie sorority and Frankie fraternity on your team?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, we got some great comments coming in. We're just starting to see them roll in. If you commented a long time ago and I'm just seeing them now, I blame StreamYard for that, but I appreciate you. I am DJ Fox. Big statement right there. Was that in regards to the accountability without training statement? Because that pretty much just blew my mind. And Jarrett, who is our new membership director here with Wisconsin Veterans Chamber, saying preach. So you're definitely throwing out the nuggets of wisdom here so far. I mean, my goodness, I feel like we could talk to you for hours, but I know we're getting tight on time here. So we'll probably have to have you on again at some point, because you really are dropping some pearls of wisdom here. But so if somebody wants to, either A, you're a business owner and you need veteran talent in your sales division, talk to Raleigh because he can hook it up. Or if you are a veteran that's like, you know what, I feel like I could do this. I'm motivated right now. Put me through this training program and I'm going to kick some butt. How does somebody get in touch?
Yeah, best way to do it is go to our website, mysalesplatoon.com. We know salesplatoon.com we own now. Thank God. It's a long story behind that.
Salesplatoon.com got hijacked by a risque website from overseas we were talking about before the show, but we'll keep it PG. But pretty soon it'll be both my Sales Platoon and salesplatoon.com. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly. Yep. So, but mysalesplatoon.com, there's 2 sections in there. If you're a veteran, that's our most important piece. Sign up, schedule a time with our director of admission. You'll get an opportunity to meet with me. We'll have a talk about what we do. There's some good information in there for you regardless. And if you're a company, then the issue or the thing that you do, sorry, I just saw a note from Jared. If you're a company yourself and you want to work with us, reach out to us directly as well. There's a form fill out there. We qualify our company. So, if you don't have an onboarding program, we'll put one in place. We work on a draft pick model. So essentially a company signs up, they do a subscription, you get draft picks, we have combines, you basically get to see the people as they go through and transform. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
It's
like a professional salesperson draft. I love it.
It's draft day. And so, we have draft day going on right now, and we've got 12 people from corporals to lieutenant colonels going through our class. And, they're getting drafted right now into organizations. 2 in Wisconsin, I'll give a shout out to Nurses PRN and Esker, who are 2 of our Wisconsin companies that back us. But, across the country, companies are signing up and saying, we need a new way to get sales talent. This is a great way to do it.
So let's get to Jared's question, but I just want to clarify here. So this is a program, a complete transformational training program for veterans that is free to the veteran.
Yep.
That ends with an attempted job placement. You help with that. Yep. And that's free to the veteran, correct?
Yep, free to the veterans. And for organizations, we're a service disabled veteran-owned business ourselves. So if you're looking diversity supply to your talent, but think more about what I just said. 90 days to 6 months, they've gone through the rigors and crucible of learning to sell from somebody that's trained hundreds of sales reps. In real time, it had been proven, and we've taken the attrition risk off the table. And as you know, every one of our graduates and candidates has between $5,400 and $9,600 tax credit that comes with them. So for less than the cost of the cheapest possible recruiter you can get, you're going to get somebody that's gone through Paris Island for salespeople.
That's amazing. So to get to Jarrett's question, how do you overcome the salesperson stigmas? I mean, there are probably some vets out there that are like, I could be good at sales. I'm a hard charger, but I just feel awkward asking, or I feel awkward with the hard sell. I don't want to put people in that position. Those stigmas about, the salesperson is a bad word sort of mindsets. How do you overcome that?
Yeah, I think the first thing is it's an educational piece around what sales really is.
Mm-hmm.
So, sales is not about the hard sell, the hard close, the TV shows, the stigma that's out there. Corporate sales is about absolutely revenue generation, but it's accretive revenue generation where the company actually benefits. And so, if you think about this, if you had, a tickets to, if you had an insight for a friend of yours, let's say that you just bought something that really helped revolutionize your personal life, would you recommend that to a friend?
Of course. Yeah.
TV show, podcast, whatever it is, right? You'd be like, hey, you can watch this. Just, hey, hey, I just bought this new car. Hey, I just got this new computer. Hey, we bought. You want to tell people about it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So sales is the same thing. The trouble is in sales, you're doing one of two things. You're either comforting the disturbed or disturbing the comforted. And so if they're coming to you,
hey, hold on. Say that one more time. I'm gonna bring up DJ Fox. That's coming at Nuggets. All right, say that one more time.
So you're in sales. You're either comforting the disturbed or you're disturbing the comforted. And so if you're comforting the disturbed, they're coming to you and your product, and they say, Adam, look, I'm giving you a call, man. I know you guys sell hammers, and I need 100 hammers. Okay. And I need them tomorrow. And if they're really transparent, they'll say, hey, we need 17. I have $17 per hammer to spend. What can you do for me?
Mm-hmm.
And your transactional salesperson, not what we teach, would say, okay, oh, great. Here's why you should buy your hammers and why they're better than everybody else's hammers, and sign here. Right. Mm-hmm. That's not what salespeople do. Salespeople also have to disturb the comforted. So if I knew I had a problem, I would have already came to you. But they say we need 100 hammers. I need them tomorrow, and I need to pay $17 a hammer. I say, why hammers? Why 100? What are you trying to do with those? And I find out they got to build 5 houses in the next 2 weeks. So they're going to hire 100 day laborers to do that. I know I have a different problem I'm solving for. Nobody buys a drill, they buy holes. Nobody buys a hammer, they're buying what a hammer does. I need to understand what that hammer is going to do for that individual. And they say, well, what about nail guns? Nail guns cost $500 each. Oh, I see how it is, Mr. Sales. You're trying to sell me nail guns. No, you're going to invest in 10 nail guns, and I'm going to reduce your labor cost by 90%. I'm going to write you a check back for $400,000. Oh, wow. But it's never one person. And selling in a business is essentially the difference between a business and consumer selling. Is that a consumer selling, Raleigh selling to Adam, you're going to buy it your money. Selling to a business is, I got to sell to a family. And there's 5 or 6 people in that business that are going to make a decision, and they have competing needs. Your job as a sales rep is to be mediator, is to be the person that's helping them navigate through difficult situations and solutions, and then helping them act in their own self-interest. You actually have to sell against what they want sometimes. And so
it's relationships, it's networking.
Yeah, psychology. It's, essentially David Sandler wrote that sales in business is essentially a Broadway play orchestrated by a clinical psychologist.
I love it. You know what, DJ Fox, I'm just going to keep this comment for all of our streams, and I'm just going to keep dropping nuggets every time he gets nuggets of wisdom out there. That's good. That's all good stuff. Yeah, I mean, so to answer Jared's question, the salesperson stigmas exist for people that are doing sales the wrong way. If you're doing sales, if you are trained on how to do sales the right way, then those stigmas don't exist. You're not going to be a sleazy, bad word salesperson. DJ Fox, learning more in the last 30 minutes than I've ever learned in summer school. DJ, I appreciate you, brother, for chiming in and for commenting and for watching. And I see you're watching on Twitch. Please give us a follow. We're new to Twitch. We got a few people following us there. Be one of the followers. I'd love to see you at a future stream as we bring more value to you. Raleigh, this has been insanely valuable. We'll have to bring you on again sometime. I know you've got another stream that you need to get on. So I'll ask you to hang out just for a minute so I can follow up with you as I close things out here. Thank you so much, Raleigh. Wow, that was super informative. All of you that watch this, my goodness. Oh, yeah, buddy. Thank you for following. Look at that. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you a lot. That was super valuable. What a guy. Raleigh Wilkins, founder and CEO of Sales Platoon, a free program for veterans to give them the transformational skills to be successful and have a lucrative and fulfilling career in sales, and then also helping with the job placement, the training in the job. That's a great program. If you think you got a knack for this, what are you waiting for? Why are you not on mysalesplatoon.com right now? Holy cow. Join us, please. Please join us every Wednesday, 11:30. We're here, Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce, providing that value for you. And we will go ahead and see you next week.